Wanted to visit about estate planning. And obviously, we're not attorneys. We just act as the quarterback in the relationship and are able to direct our clients when we think it's appropriate that they need to do some different estate planning and visit with an attorney. Over the years, there's several things that we found to be very important that we want to share with you regarding estate planning. Just those basic items. Again, it could be much more involved, it could be less involved, but just those basic items that people need to think about, that we talk to our clients about. Number one, on all of your retirement plans, whether it's your 401k, your IRA, your Roths, any of those type of retirement accounts, make sure you have your beneficiary designations up to date. It's really easy to let time go by, forget that something needs to be updated. Also, at some point in time when you set up an account, you may have just listed your spouse or significant other as a primary, or maybe you were younger and listed a parent as the primary. It's important to go back and make sure that not only that primary designation is correct with what your wishes are, but also that you have secondary or what are called contingent beneficiaries on there if something would happen to both of you. Again, you don't want something to accidentally go through probate or go through that whole process if it was something as simple as updating your beneficiaries. TOD, bank institutions usually call it POD, stands for transfer on death or payable on death. It is a simple document that can be on other types of accounts or assets other than your retirement accounts. So think joint accounts at the brokerage firm that you do business with, or the bank, your CDs, all of those different types of assets. Basically, you just list that on there as your transfer on death or primary or payable on death, and that's going to list who you'd want the money to go to, primary, secondary, contingent, beneficiaries, so that hopefully that would also avoid going through probate. Living will, very important and often overlooked. A living will is basically putting in writing exactly what your wishes are in the event you cannot speak for yourself regarding health care and other final decisions. Durable power of attorney, or DPOA. A durable power of attorney is going to allow you to designate a person to make legal decisions if one is no longer competent to do so. And likewise, a power of attorney for health care as well. It's important so that basically if you're not able to make the decisions on your account, that you have already put the legal paperwork together to appoint someone if that should ever happen. Hopefully it never would. That's why we prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Your last will and testament designates whom you want all of your personal belongings to go to. Also within that topic, it's important to think about if you have children, who would you want to be the guardian if something happened to both husband and wife? Or if you're single or divorced, who would you want to be the guardian for your children if they're under 18 years of age in Oklahoma? Who would you want to be responsible to carry out your wishes with the management and disbursement of the monies that you'd saved either through your investments, your life insurance, property, any other assets? Sometimes family will want to have someone be the guardian and someone separate be in charge of the money if something should happen to us. All considerations that you need to think about, especially when you have young children. Funeral planning declaration can be something as simple as just having something in writing. It could be going to your local funeral home and putting all of your wishes in place, getting everything prepaid, taken care of, so it's one last thing that your heirs or your children have to take care of in a time of sorrow. And then the other thing I think, especially in today's digital age, that is so important is listing all of your important documents, including digital. There's lots of different apps that you can use for your phone, for your computer, to basically encrypt and save all of your passwords, not only for important things like your bank passwords, your brokerage account passwords, your 401k at work password, but also things that we don't think about like your social media passwords. All of the information that lives in the digital world, having that saved someplace safe and communicating with your loved one about where they can find that information so that if something happens to you, they're not in the dark about where to find different information and where that might be. In regards to important documents like bank accounts, brokerage accounts, 401k, that's also one of the benefits as a client of putting together a financial plan, or what we call goal planning and monitoring, is if we're updating that each year, then you have an annual listing of all of your accounts, not just what you hold here, but what you hold across other firms, across other banks, other property assets. And if you share that with your loved ones or let them know where that is or who your financial advisor is that you're working with, those things can be more readily available. In closing, the bottom line to estate planning, whether you need some of these documents, all of these documents, or if your plan requires much more detail, the bottom line of estate planning is to avoid probate, the cost and the hassle that goes along with filing in the court systems. It's not incredibly expensive, but it is a hassle. It is something else that your loved ones have to deal with at a time that when they're probably least equipped to deal with it, at the death of a family member. It makes it so much easier for your heirs because there is no opportunity for misunderstandings or confusion on what mom and dad's wishes were, what they would have wanted, who would have received which assets. None of that has to be decided by a judge. And then most importantly, I think the importance of having an estate plan is that if it's properly done, you may not have to have it in the public record. And for some people, that may not be a big deal. Other people are much more private in nature and don't want that information shared. Proper estate planning can make sure that as much of that as possible remains out of the public record.